All right, welcome to the H&M Sports Academy. My name is Mo. This is Harry, and we are live here early on the weekend to go over the couple of games, big games this weekend when we start to talk about the matchups of some NFC aspiring teams. You have the Dallas Cowboys on the road at 2-1, going to play the Carolina Panthers at 2-3, and you have the Chicago Bears on a Monday night going to Washington D.C. to play the Commanders, as one of my friends call them, the commies. So,
in a double header, which is crazy. NFL needs to cut this out. They got us, a double header game.
So welcome, partner, to the show, and we're ready to rock and roll here. Get into some details here about these particular games. We are jumping in. These are four teams basically that are aspiring and looking to turn the corner. This is kind of an inflection point for the year. Early on, the first quarter of the season, first 4 or 5 games for most teams.
Lovie Smith, they messed it up with the extra game at number 17, but yes, this is the second quarter of the season, right?
Second quarter of the season, that's right. Yeah. So you gotta play 5 games to get to the second quarter of the season right now. So right. 4 games and an overtime game, and then you get to the second quarter of the season. But that's kind of where we are right now. And I think most people would say if you're a team and you're 5 games in, if you can make sure you're 3-2 or 2-2, 2-1, or 2-2, 3-2 around that range, you haven't buried yourself. Right. And none of these teams have. So that's what we're looking at right now when it comes to the early on parts of the season. Like, everything's still in front of all of these teams, regardless of what you think of them, how you feel about how they got here, how the sausage was made. They're here. And we're going to jump into it and preview a little bit. Before I get started, always remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoy this content, we are a very strong leaning group that goes towards the Chicago Bears. We lean heavily into the Dallas Cowboys. We focus a lot on the Los Angeles Lakers, but we will always cover the NFL and the NBA and some entertainment as well. And goodness gracious, man, we could talk entertainment stuff always.
I'm gonna bring a little entertainment today too with the Commanders game. But go ahead, you was about to say something. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna ask, have you seen Mark Sanchez lately?
That is one of the wildest.
That is a wow story.
Just I saw the TMZ report pop up a couple of days ago, and they had the footage of him just walking through the city, basically bleeding out. And it's just so random, man. He's such a when you see he's doing. I mean, he was amazing on TV. I really like his commentary and his analysis. So the story came from left field, and initially when I saw it, I'm thinking someone had attacked them, and it was just kind of a weird maybe wrong place, wrong time type of situation. And as they started to peel back the layers, they showed that, that might not have been the case. It's all allegations at this point, but, the guy who he was, whatever that was, a fight, a altercation, he ended up in a pretty bad way as well. They showed hospital pictures of him too. And it's just random. Right. So we'll talk some entertainment too. Yeah. On here.
Weird AF. All right. But right now we're in the crux of the season. There's a lot going on, so we're going to focus on the games people play and not what they do on their off time. We'll focus on that. And so today we're going to do a little bit of a preview before we get into the weekend games and jump into some of that. We're going to start off with the Dallas Cowboys traveling on the road to the Carolina Panthers, and which has started to become a little bit of an interesting, not a rivalry, but a little bit of an interesting game that has a little history to it. The Dallas Cowboys play the Panthers quite a bit. I think the Cowboys have played the Panthers the last 3 years in a row. I think the Cowboys have won those games But the Panthers have been a franchise that's in flux, if you will, trying to transition and grow with their young quarterback and coaching changes and even leadership administration changes and ownership and stuff. So they're an organization in flux, and they're trying to anchor down and then settle themselves. And they start this season off, and that a lot of people don't have a whole bunch of hope for them or a whole bunch of projection for them as far as being successful. But lo and behold, they're 2-3. They got two very solid wins, one a blowout win. They took the Atlanta Falcons behind a woodshed.
Out of nowhere.
I
came from left field.
What happened there?
Yeah.
Please raise your hand if you had that on your bingo card.
I did not.
Because I did. I certainly did not. 30 to zip. And then the other win was just as weird to me. You're down 17-0 yourself, and come back and beat Miami. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well as we jump into it. But that's what we have. So we'll jump into this, and I will kind of crank this up, and let's start looking at a couple of the units here, and we'll start to kind of break them down. Let's look at the Carolina Panthers offense and how they stack up against the Dallas Cowboys defense.
Yeah.
Look at the Panthers offense versus the Dallas Cowboys defense, and what that looks like. What do you see with the Panthers offense on your end?
Yeah, the Panthers offense is and we saw it on full display last week, and it's a name familiar to you. Old Rico. Rico I couldn't even pronounce the man's name last year. Dowdle. I don't know what his name was, but he stepped in for Chuba, for Hubbard, who got injured last week. And man, he was a freight train, man. He was a load. They leaned into the run. Like you said, they were down 17 to the Dolphins, and they put the ball in his hands and really carried the load. Surprisingly, the offensive line is a little bit beat up, right? I think they came out. The Dolphins took a little bit of a pound of flesh for you. Their right tackle is out this week. So, previewing your game, we saw your defensive line do what? Come alive last week, right? Against the Jets. And now you got the Panthers, who look to be, beat up a little bit up front, but that's the strength of their offense right now. So again, Flus, smart defensive coordinator. I think he comes in and he's going to lean into that model where I think he's really going to, the whole premise of that defense is to get you to third down. So I expect you guys probably drop a safety in the box, get Wilson down there, try to stuff that run early, and then look to get him in passing situations. Bryce Young, we were talking about him just kind of offline, man. Super talented kid. He's been doing it on the top level as a high school phenom. Went to Bama. You see this guy walking on the street, or you see him in the mall, you'll walk right past him. He's a super slight, super small guy. I think what you'll see from him, the way he makes up for his lack of size, he has an elite arm talent. He's one of the most skillful quarterbacks out there, and he makes up for his lack of size by getting depth in his drop. So Flus knows that. We talked about pass rush last week too, when we talk about, marrying that coverage time and up to your pass rush time and to get there. Flus knows that. He's dropping back damn near 10 yards, man, sitting in that pocket. Because I was just curious, like, how does this dude get the ball off? You don't see him get the ball batted down a ton, so he gets a ton of depth on his drops, and he's slippery in the pocket. He handles and maneuvers pockets well, which makes sense. He's a smaller guy. That's one of his superpowers, is being able to navigate amongst the giants. Got a young receiver core. You don't see a lot of Jimmy Horn, though. Jimmy Horn Jr., right? Coming out of Colorado. He had a couple of DNPs. Now he's burst on the scene. And then your favorite, I know you love their receiver who they just drafted, kid out of Arizona. What's his name? Terry, whatever. I think
Ted McMillan.
McMillan. Yes. He hasn't put anything in the end zone yet, but he's targeted at a high rate, and I think you'll see him.
I think he has 45 targets already.
Ton of targets, so it makes sense for a first round pick to get some to get those types of opportunities. So you'll see that. And offensively, it's not a lot there. You got Dave Canales, who came from Tampa Bay, who is trying to get this offense in the right direction. And like you said, in their two wins, he did just that. I think he's a sharp play caller. He adjusts well. The question is, there's just a lack of talent, man. And with the injuries up front, I'm expecting you guys to be able to keep this thing corralled and under control. I don't see them getting away from you.
Yeah, good recap of their offense. And like you said, I think their big horse has been Ted McMillan. Mm-hmm. And, I was just kind of flashing back to the Miami game. It's interesting because they were down 17-0, like we just talked about. But somehow at 17-0, and you're really scrambling on offense, you decide you're going to go run heavy and just run the ball. Right. And Miami Dolphins decided, they were like, well, time for us to head back to South Beach because we're not interested in stopping. I don't know what they did. You're up. I guess in their mind they were playing for the pass, thinking, okay, we're up big, so they're going to start throwing the ball around, and they're just in a kind of a maybe a soft set or something like that. But the Panthers decided, no, we're just gonna keep pounding this rock. We're going with Rico, and Chuba Hubbard's out with a calf injury, so they had tried to push him, and he didn't make it. So they were just going Rico heavy. So not only are they down 17-0, but they really only have one half of their backfield, and they just go run heavy. And damn, lo and behold, they get themselves back in the game. And this is a big picture thing too. Partner, I really don't understand why teams give up on the run so quickly. It's like, dude, you fall behind, 10 points, but it's the second quarter. You mean to tell me you can't run the football when you can put together one drive and score 7 points, and now you're down 3 before halftime with a whole second half to go? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that, but teams do all the time. They get so nervous about the scoreboard.
It's the greatest enigma going right now, next to the going for 2, right? And we got some old school in us that we're working out with this whole 2-point conversion. I think we both started and going for it on 4th down, right? You never go broke taking a profit, so I always cringe when it's the second quarter and you see teams chasing 2 points, or to your point, I think it's just the feel of the game right now. Maybe it's just the information stream or how people view the game. 10 points was 20 years ago. That was nothing. You continue to go. We look at it as a 2-possession game, right? And if I kick a field goal, I'm right back. So I think we just, from our perspective, was you're not too far ahead of me, right? Especially in the second quarter game or early in the game. So to continue on your game plan and running the ball makes sense to us. Now you see teams completely abandon it and just chase, go full throttle passing, and end up, losing further ground and getting blown out, getting the doors blown off them because they make themselves one-dimensional.
Yeah, and I think that the irony is that you're probably saying to yourself, well, we've fallen behind by 10 points, 14 points, so the defense is struggling. So we got to start to pick up the pace in order to catch up because the defense. But the problem with that is if you go past happy, even if you're scoring faster, you're making the defense get out there even longer and faster. Yeah. So how does that help them out? And honestly, if you run the ball and maybe put together a nice little drive of 6, 7, 8 minutes and score, now you get a defensive breather. Maybe they can get their legs back under them, figure out what they're doing, and reset, and then come back out there. Why do you want to score quick and put them back out there? I just don't get that concept when you're early in the game. And here the Panthers did not. So, this is what we got to deal with, because now Rico has put out an edict that the Cowboys defense needs to buckle up. So
he said that?
he put that out in the post game and said, "Hey,
Okay.
I always have a chip on my shoulder. I was with the Cowboys for 5 years. They know who I am. They know about this work." And I'm like,
"You gave up on me, Rico?"
Right. And so, yeah, Rico said, "Yeah, I always got a chip on my shoulder." So you know what I'm saying. I know those guys. And he went Kevin Durant. You know who I am.
You know who I am. So
and so he
Rico revenge game. Okay,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
So I mean, but there's a few of them.
Yeah,
you got Mingo, who just left last year because he got traded to Dallas. I don't think he's going to be able to go. And then you got Clowney, who was just there last year. And he's over there, and so there's been some swapping there. Also, you have our running back Javonte Williams. He didn't play for the Panthers, but he's a North Carolina guy. He went to UNC.
That's right. He UNC
so
guy.
His family's there. So there's a lot of that. Also, kind of the game within the game.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that going on. With the Cowboys defense, I think the big thing is can they build off of last week? And I'm going to take this from another friend of mine who was speaking. It kind of looks like the Cowboys defense has turned a corner, ironically, from injuries.
Yeah.
The injury to Jack Sanborn has forced Shamar James, the rookie, to get in and get more playing time. And he's a faster, younger, more mistake prone, but more athletic linebacker. The injury to Murray has been in and out of the game, and so therefore, Morris Leofau has gotten in, and he's starting to make some moves. You have in the secondary, Malik Hooker's out with a turf toe injury, so that forced Wanye Thomas to get in. And he's playing, at a decent level, of course. And so when you have sometimes these injuries happen, you don't want them to happen, but at the same time, you do have an opportunity to step in, and sometimes it starts the new, quote unquote, young guy era earlier.
No, and we touched on that last time we spoke too. And the season is long. It's an attrition.
It's a war of attrition.
War of attrition. And Sanborn, I know, like I said, I know him intimately. He's a former Bear. And
good guy.
Great guy, great glue guy. Continuity, smart guy. He's going to be exactly where he's supposed to be. He's going to tackle. He's going to make plays. But two things you can't coach, man, and that's speed, and I think just football IQ. Yeah. And I really think the guys who are starting to be who are kind of thrusted into those next man up roles. Yeah. They popped off the screen. That was one of the first things I told you. I said, man, you guys look faster against the Jets. And the beauty of Fluce's system, and it's a gift and a curse, right? The beauty of it is, and we talked about coming out of COVID, how do you survive that type of landscape where you had a bunch of guys in and out, and having to create and put together game plans with new players on the fly. One of the things that came out of COVID was system. We talked about systemic football and being able to teach it to them quick, right? So you got guys who it ain't rocket science, it ain't heart surgery, so they know what to do for the most part, and they just playing fast. And I think those guys have, at least when they got their opportunities, they definitely have popped over the last couple of weeks. Murray was a guy I identified in that Bears game when I watched him after just the cut-ups. His eyes were getting a little bit lost, right?
Yeah.
And playing middle linebacker in that system, that's the next to that 3 technique who's getting pressure. That's the most important guy because he's quarterback in the middle of the field. Yeah. And I think with him going down with injury, you might have got a guy who's just a little bit more a higher level of awareness, not taking false steps, being where they're supposed to be. and getting there a little bit quicker. So I think that's why you're seeing some of the positive results that you're seeing with him out of the lineup.
Yeah, and Murray's in and out. I think he's good, and he's going to be playing this week. So you got to have some continuity. He'll have the green dot because he's the most experienced guy that's left out there. But I think this just in a projection here, without getting too deep into the weeds there. But I think the Dallas Cowboys at the linebacker position is probably looking at kind of directing and building towards a lineup of Leofau and Shamar James, along with Murray getting some snaps in, but also building towards Demarion Overshown coming back and being healthy. And you got 3 young. So if you have James, Overshown, and Leofau, that's the speed and the athleticism that you have there is really off the charts relative to what you had before. So
you know what else you get? Those guys actually been playing together on that second unit. So that's the continuity, right? Yeah. So they all kind of get thrusted at the same time, but it ends up they're used to each other. So that helps.
That's exactly. And the Cowboys have had a lot of injuries over the years where you have that combination. We'll talk about some of that with some of the offensive players. So that's a pretty much wrap there. The defense is going to have to get after the passing game. I think they want to make sure that they control the run game up front. The Cowboys are pretty good at stuffing the run from a defensive line perspective. Last week, they kind of got into a shell and they didn't want to give up anything big, so they gave up some runs. But if they're playing straight up, they're usually pretty good against the run. And I think the big thing is they want to do something similar to Bryce Young that they did with Fields is kind of continue to close and crowd him, because he's not a big guy, and he scrambles even less. He's not an athletic type. So if you just continue to stay in front of him, then he has to pass over top of you. It makes it difficult to complete good balls at a consistent rate. He'll get some off, but he won't kill you that way. So I think that's a good game plan for the Cowboys. And the main thing is getting off the field and handing the ball over to that offense. And so we'll flip over here. When you look at the Panthers on defense, not a lot of names there. No more Luke Kuechly, no more Julius Peppers, no more Jadeveon Clowney. Some of the linebackers they've had in the past, those guys are all gone, and this is a new unit with J.C. Horn at the secondary. What do you see with the Panthers defense?
Not much, man. It's going to be a short segment on that defense. So I can't even lie to you. I went and looked in there, and I tried to, sometimes you don't want to disrespect an opponent, and you're trying to, really, really bring some of the positives out. But I'll be candid, man. It's a cast of no names. They feast or famine. I don't think you really. I don't want to steal your thunder with the Cowboys offense, but I don't really see a sizable advantage up front. I don't see a sizable advantage at the linebacker position, the nickel, nothing. And then outside of J.C. Horn, they got another corner over there. That's I want to say Jackson, who's starting to up his level of play, but not much, man. I don't want to ruin this segment for you, but they just just a bunch of just a bunch of guys, man. Nothing really notable that I can really give you some high level content on there. I think their biggest strength is probably effort. Is the best. I watched them on tape, and they play hard. But the Dolphins, man, when you rolling, and you got the what I call the basics of your offense clicking, they don't have much resistance there.
Well, I mean, sometimes that's what you get, and every defense isn't star-studded with names and stuff like that, but they can still be effective if they play as an effective unit and play together. And then they might be a younger unit just making a name for themselves. The Cowboys will have to respect them one way or another. But I think if you're, a top 3 offense like the Cowboys are, you got to go into the game saying this really is on us to execute what we do. We can't look at it and think that the Panthers are going to control our movements or control our flow and our schemes and so forth. We're going to kind of impose that upon them and force them to have to deal with us. So I think it's just the way the Cowboys are built right now. everything kind of rises and falls with this offense. And the defense is trying to close the gap and hold their own water and carry their weight. But the offense is leading this team. That's obviously led by Dak, and some injuries, some people who are getting back and so forth. Mingo has not come back yet, but we got news yesterday, breaking news, that Miles Sanders is going to be put on the shelf for the season. He is gone. Wow. So that's your second.
What was his injury?
Running back.
What was his injury? What was his injury?
Yeah, he has a similar knee injury as to what Trayvon Diggs had last year.
Knee, okay.
That forced him to go out. It's not the same as an ACL tear, but it's knee damage to soft tissue that requires extensive rehab, and he's going to be out. So once again, we talk about injury leading to your opportunity, and this is the NFL. Injury is almost the biggest component of the game week to week. So now you enter the Jaden Blue era. You got Phil Maffa coming along. He's coming back and he's trying to get it together. So there's going to be some transition here with the Cowboys as far as this is concerned, and now you're thrust into the spotlight to see what you can do if you're Jaden Blue. And this is your opportunity. You can't ask for much more than this.
No, agreed. I loved him in Texas. I think he was on my board for the Bears when we were, this is another crazy thing about the NFL. We'll talk about this one day, but this was probably one of the deepest drafts in
for running backs.
A long time at running back. And
my gosh,
man, the Bears don't come away with any of them to the 7th round, and Blue was sitting there. I think you guys got him, I want to say 5th, maybe 4th, 5th round or something like that.
Yeah, he was late. He was late 5th round.
Kind of a later talent, but the kid is dual. I call him a dual threat running back. He can catch it. He can run it.
Yeah.
This is his opportunity to shine, right? And what's a better way to do it? And I'm not saying, and again, I don't want to discount the Panthers, but this is a good game for him to step in and get some live reps where I call it not as a stressful environment. I think you guys will probably jump up on these guys and really get him a chance to acclimate to that number 2 role and start to see what he can do. He got a couple of touches last week and got his feet wet. I think this week he'll come in a little bit more confident and also game planned into and then actually put into the game plan, right? A little bit more. So I look for some screens. Shotty's creative back there on how to get him the ball just outside of the running game to get him going and give Williams coming out of last week. I think he's on everybody's radar. That kid is super talented. So that RB2 position for you guys is going to be big, and Blue has a great opportunity to, grab the bull by the horns and have a big game.
Correct. Well said. So, you're moving forward on the offensive side, and you're led with Dak, and you're getting a little bit more healthy. CD was pretty close to coming back. You're getting Tyler Smith back. I
was going to mess with you. It might be too soon. I was like, you don't want to put CD at running back, man? You try him at running back.
No. That was strike one. Right there. Way too soon.
Too soon. All right, I relax.
They almost had my ass going to a support group about that one, man. Had to get some counseling about that.
Got him dotting the I back there, boy. I tell you.
My God, bro. What are we doing here? So I think that one's out of the playbook though, and so I think we move forward. But yeah, you're looking to see if you get any more development from the young guys from Florida. You're looking to see if you get any more movement with the receiving core. You still got Jalen Tolbert. You still obviously got Pickens out there. So offense looks pretty solid. So.
Don't forget about my guy. I actually got a call yesterday about Florida Day. I had someone call me. You've been talking to your friends. I've been talking to mine.
Ryan Floyd.
There's Cowboys fans clamoring for Florida to be more part of the offense and pushing Turpin back into his strengths, which is the return game, to where you can kind of accentuate that. I was honest and candid. I said, I don't know if Florida is on the special teams unit. You know, that comes into play, right?
He is, but he's in a different role. But he's actually a very good special teams player. He's a gunner, and he's a big guy. He can block. You know, he's got excellent size. So and he's a strong physical. So that's one of the things that the Cowboys like to use him. They're like, well, even if he's not in on his routes, he'll be excellent in the run game, just as a stalk blocker, run blocker and stuff. But he actually runs the routes well.
Hey, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. You know, I know Turpin is healing up from an injury.
Yeah, he's close to. He'll probably be ready next week.
Yeah, my response back too was, I think Turpin brings a level as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
I was watching Michael Irvin. He was talking about, I forget the guy's name. You guys had some wide receiver who was a track star, and y'all were playing the Falcons. He was running Dion off every play, and then Michael Irvin was talking about how, you know, he ended up killing the cornerback who was guarding him. I think Tim McKyer. Yeah. And Dion said, man, y'all ain't put that guy out there to do nothing but run me off. This ain't no damn track meet, man. It's football. So I think Turpin adds that element to where as a defensive coordinator.
It does.
I can't sneak that safety down too much, or I can't get my secondary too involved. Yeah. Because that's a guy that'll, you know, take the top right off my defense if we get caught slipping. So he adds that element to give you space, right? And that's on offense. You're always kind of working with space. So sometimes it's called the hidden stats, the hidden, yards that you might be getting. It might not show in his production, but it's showing because it's opening up, you know, CD, it's opening up Pickens, it's opening up, you know, your running game. So I get the logic. Again, long seasons require multiple things. I think Florida is going to get, you know, he had a shot last week and he stepped in admirably and played well. I think moving forward, that gives you confidence. Shotty looks at it. He saw what we saw, and he said, hey, in the bond, we can go to this guy, which is a good thing for you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think he's earned the right to get more playing time, more minutes, just with the precision and routes that he ran. You know, they gave him end arounds. They gave him some of those kind of Turpin type plays and stuff like that. And he's obviously a different body type. But if you can, I think you can use Jaden Blue also in some of the Turpin roles and kind of put him in jet motion and stuff like that. Your body, so take a little bit of that off of Turpin. Now Turpin wants that ball, so he's not going to ask for that. He wants to play, but I think you start to find different ways to put those explosives in your offense when you add Flournoy, when you add Turpin, when you add Blue. And now those guys are kind of like, okay, those are your secondary guys, because you still got to focus on CD and Pickens. And all of a sudden, you know, they slip out the backfield on a wheel route and it's curtains. You know what I'm saying? So that's what the Cowboys are looking at offensively, which is the reason why they're a top offense. You look at the weapons and they're just a bunch of them. Offensive line is playing great. And so it's a good unit right now. And that's where they're going to be, you know, that's where they're going to lead for a while. It's going to be the offense putting up a number and then the defense trying to see if they can stop the team from getting to that number, you know, and that's kind of what it looks like.
And this is the other piece, and I thought about it. I told you earlier, I was doing my yard work this morning, so popped in my head, and I said sometimes with these others looking great, you know, when they step in, especially offensively, it's the Dak effect, right? Tom Brady, you get a bunch of no names, and he's like, who the hell is this guy, you know? Right. And then they go off other places and they don't look as great. And I'm not putting, you know, Florida in that category just yet. He's still young in his career. But I will say having Dak there and from what, you know, you spoke about them working over the summer and putting that time in. Yeah. I think that's a huge, you know, reason why he looked as good as he did as well. The work behind the scenes with Dak really, really popped. So I've been hard on Dak. I've made statements about Dak in the past, and I'm an honest guy. I'm objective. This season has been MVP-esque for Dak, right? I think he's at 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and when you look at what he's had to deal with the last 2 weeks without CD, in those games he hadn't missed a beat, and I've been really impressed with him this season.
Yeah. So we'll see if that continues on in this game here. Just moving forward with the special teams units, not too much crazy there. The Cowboys they're not going to have Turpin back there. You see anything there with the Panthers unit of note? That looks like their kicking game is pretty solid. So if they get in range, nothing too special there.
Field goal kicker, I think. He's only missed one kick, and that was outside of 50. So I don't think that special. Again, they got Trevor Etienne returning kicks, and nothing kind of crazy for you guys to be worried about there. They haven't lit the world on fire with their special teams unit. They punted a ton, so we don't talk about punters here too much. But Fitzgerald has been solid as a place kicker. Their special teams unit is probably average at best, I would say, when it comes to what to expect there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, nothing too crazy there. I think that both units are solid. They hold their own. You won't have Turpin returning kicks. Maybe Jaden Blue gets in and gets some, but the question is always, do you want to put some of these guys at risk on kick returns?
Special teams,
special teams, when you're going to need him as a legit running back. Now he's not going to be just an afterthought or just a nice icing on the cake. Like, you're going to need him to take some carries at this point. So be careful with that. And so we'll see how that plays out, if they add some more juice to the return game with Jaden Blue, or if he stays in from scrimmage. Otherwise, let's look at the coaches here. You got Dave Canales, he a former Tampa Bay Glory with the fight Baker Mayfield's his transition over to the head coach. So talk to me. What do you see about Canales? What do you like about him?
I'm highly impressed with Dave Canales. I think just kind of going back to our earlier statement, which is the feel of game, right? He got down 17 to the Dolphins, and he's consistent in what he's trying to do on offense. He's going to run the football. He's going to hit you with the play action, but he has some creative schemes and he schemes guys open very well, whether that be through the screen game, getting his quarterback some easy reads. And I also think through just what I call formational, getting you in situations where he can kind of dictate coverage and find some easy completions to get his QBs in rhythm. And in the course, in the midst of a game, I think he adjusts very well, right? You see him down early last week and find his way. He's not a coordinator who I think gets lost in his play calls. And even when they're getting beat, they fight hard. He coaches them up well. They played Atlanta, and they took them to the woodshed. I don't know where that came from. Like I said, we didn't have that one on our bingo card.
Nope.
So again, they're dangerous at any given Sunday. So his background, like I say, with Baker Mayfield, originally I thought he was the kingmaker. When he left and went to Carolina here 2 years ago, and then you can kind of see them come on towards the end of the year, right? Start to see them play better. They're starting to put some talent together. So again, early in the season, I think he's been kind of feeling his way with a new wide receiver. They actually traded away one of their receivers to you guys, who was probably could help him right now, right? You guys got one of their receivers, so they're young on the outside. Yeah, so I think what you're going to get from Canales is a heavy dose of the run game, and he understands his offensive line is beaten up. I would expect some chipping, and I would expect him leaving in some extra blockers to make sure he gives Bryce a chance to get that ball off. And he also knows in that Tampa too, there's completions to be had that you guys are gonna give him. And I think, again, kind of similar to the Jets early on, they kind of dink and dunk down the field. before the game got settled in. So I expect him to have a couple of routes and a couple of, schemes to really attack the cover two, to try to get some easy completions and get some early points on the board, to get them to keep them attached. What they can't do is let you guys get away from them, because that'll really tilt to where they won't be as effective being one-sided. They don't have the horses yet to play down like that.
Yeah, that makes all the sense to me when it comes down to it. You start to look. They're starting to have some names on the offense. If you got a healthy Chuba Hubbard, you got Rico Dowdle, you got Tedero McMillan, and you got Bryce Young on the trigger, then you kind of feel like, all right, you got some pieces now to work with. Some other guys can play off of that. So we know McMillan is a real deal. The Cowboys were going to draft him if he had fallen. And honestly, the Cowboys would have drafted J.C. Horn if he had fallen too. But the Panthers like to take our players. I don't know if they digging into our scouting, but they took Horn, and we settled for Michael Parsons. So so that's kind of how that works. And so it's always funny how the draft goes. It makes strange bedfellows for sure. So you'll see how this all plays out. When you talk about Shoddy, he's really in his bag right now, doing a great job, and he's really leading the team in a great way. I think people didn't want to give a lot of credit to him when it came to this hire, and didn't think a whole bunch of him, because they're like, well, this guy is almost 50 years old and he hasn't had a head coaching job yet. But
that was me. I'll raise my hand. That was me. I was thinking, especially how the hell do you sit around in the league this long? And he was ascending at one point and kind of fell off the radar.
Yeah.
And I would call it a redemption story, because it's not like he had a fall from grace. He just had kind of went quiet, and he's kind of reemerged, right?
Yeah, and I think we know this without getting too far in the weeds. In the NFL, when you're the hot guy, when you're the hot guy, sometimes you got to take it in, because you can go from hot to not hot. Bobby Slowick,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's my man name? Eric Bieniemy. My gosh, there was a time when he
running back coach.
Could do no wrong, and so sometimes that's why these guys jump in and they take that job when they get it, because when you're hot, you don't want to miss that window. And I think Shoddy probably had that opportunity back in Seattle and didn't take it. And now, it took him a little bit of time to kind of resurface. But let's be real about it. It's kind of like a Steph Curry thing. It's like, dude, you're the son of a damn near Hall of Fame coach.
Right.
Coaching's in your blood. You were a quarterback in college. You played for Florida. Like, if you looked at a blind resume, everything says that he should be an excellent coach.
Agree. And I'm big on these. I don't know why, the post game pressers, right? And after a win, I just didn't know a lot about his personality, right? I knew a lot of his resume, but I didn't know him as a person, because I think even when he was in the limelight, he was still kind of behind the scenes. You never really got a chance to see him. And we know as men, sometimes, you grow into your craft, you take some lumps, right? You ride high, you get knocked down. And he just seems very comfortable within himself, and he knows who he is. He knows what he's good at. And I think one of his strengths is he's a player's coach who's also a hard ass who the players still respect, right? And
it's hard to find that combination.
Very hard to find that combination. And in his presser, who was behind him but George Pickens, drinking all the Kool-Aid, after every stat he read off, super excited about, other success and what's going on. And Pickens is the guy who my original, vision of him is him standing in front of the damn screen on draft day with a damn, ski mask on his head, looking all crazy. And I'm looking at him in that moment, and I'm like, man, sometimes you gotta toss your flowers and give it. We're very hard on these coaches. We hard on players now in these in this new day and age. And I think that's something that we do differently, where we come on and we talk about the positives, right, of what Shoddy's doing. And if you can win the locker room over and get buy-in and have that type of what I call energy around the success of others and getting your team to buy into that. And especially coming from Pickens, and I don't want to pick on Pickens because he's not a terrible guy. It's just we know him. His personality is probably not leaning in that way. So for Shotty to have that kind of effect on him, I can only imagine what he has on the guys who not on the fringe, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're seeing in that locker room too, not just on offense, but on the defensive side of the ball, where he's a true head coach. He's touching special teams, offense, and defense. And I think if we went 10 years ago, he probably was just an offensive guy, right?
Yeah.
And buried his head in formations and quarterback play, running back play, tight end play, wide receiver play. And I think he's evolved. Yeah, I think he's evolved and developed himself into what you said. Hey, my dad was a damn, Hall of Fame head coach, and this is what he was doing to be successful. And he's kind of, I think, tapped into that. And I'm very impressed with Shotty from the jump. I told you that from the Cowboys Eagles game. I'm like, you guys look different. You look better. So
yeah, no doubt about it, man. So we talked about that, talking about building the system. So those are the coaching matchups here. Let's move through this here quickly here. What do you see the format or the form if the Carolina Panthers are to become victorious in this game and pull this out, up to a 500 record? What does that look like? What does that game plan look like if you looked at it on your end?
I think offensively, I'm leaning the turnovers, and that's an easy one. That's a low-hanging fruit. But I think if they can run the football and not turn the ball over, and get some play clean and not let you guys detach, I think they'll be successful. And on defense, if they can get some takeaways, right? If they can get you off schedule and then score off of those, I think it'll help close that gap in talent to where it could eventually. And they're at home, so. In this game, you probably have a 50-50 or 60-40 split. Cowboys fans travel well. So, they'll have a slight home field advantage. But I think if they can, win the turnover battle on defense and protect the ball on offense, that's the only way I can see them winning this game.
Understood. And it feels like there's a smaller margin for error there with them. They don't have a lot of ways to pull this out right now, but at the same time, they show up and they play hard and they fight hard, so they will not give the game away. I'm pretty sure of that. I think with the Cowboys, it's the same formula here. It's leading with the offense, controlling with the offense, putting up points and putting pressure on you with the offense. And forcing you when you're on offense to have to handle the pressure of keeping up. So when you're looking at the offense moving the ball, putting up points, you have obviously Butter Aubrey at the field goal kicking spot. It's the outside game, so maybe he has some mistakes there. But if the Cowboys are going to win this game, then they're going to continue to put up the points. I think that magic number is 30, 31. They get to that number, and if the defense team has settled in just enough, so if they can get to the 30s, it's tough to beat. And right? If you get to 30 points, you're gonna win the game. But with this defense, that's where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? Trust me, huh?
No, I was gonna say, it's early, and I just didn't see a trend in that way. And as we get hyper fixated on the moment, and I get it when you're not playing like you want to, as well as you want to play. You guys giving up, giving up 38 to 40 points a game over the course of the season didn't fall in line with the Eberflus track record of how he runs the defense. So at worst, I could see you guys at the mid 20s, where you land. And offensively, if you can, hit that 30 mark, then you're gonna win 10 plus games, because that's just it's just the mathematics behind it, right? So I said all that to say, the clip that you guys were on defensively, it was more outlier than it was what I felt like the norm would be. Yeah, and that's the thing. At this point, if the Cowboys were able to move their defense from in the rank in the 30s up to the 20s.
or high teens, they would have to play at a clip that's higher than that to elevate it to that level. So you got to probably play at a level of the 10th or 11th or 12th to get it from 30 something all the way up to 20 something. So we'll see if they can get to that point over the course of the year. But the main thing is they had those early stretches, and now they're still at a 500 level. They didn't get buried by that poor defense. No. And now you have a chance to kind of to settle in, and you like to think that the offense can be consistent and still stay on track if they can stay healthy. So that's the way I'm seeing it too when it comes down to the Cowboys. Maybe trying to create some turnovers on offense. The thing about Bryce Young at quarterback is he's not big. He's not big and he's not strong. But good news, he's also slow. So that's great.
He's definitely, like I said, I've been watching him since Bama, and the kid is, when he's almost like if you could put an athlete and physically and say all the attributes that you need, he probably doesn't check any of those. He doesn't have big hands. He doesn't have, he's not a huge frame guy. He's not muscular. He's not, super fast.
Nope.
He's almost like a great pool shooter or a bowler or it's just like a high level skill set guy.
Yeah.
But, it wouldn't surprise me again. Like I said, if you get to him, large masses at high speeds hitting, static objects normally creates, turnovers and good things, right?
Yeah.
So I do think, him being smaller and like I said, he is trying to manipulate that pocket. I see, he has a penchant to fumble and let that ball go when he gets hit. Not that he wants to. I think he's just so damn small.
Yeah.
When he does get caught, the torque, it'll kind of lend to him being a high turnover guy.
Yeah.
But, I'm not, like I said, and I'm not saying it because we're doing this thing together. I'm really not worried about the Cowboys at this moment because I think the Cowboys fans need to think about things a little bit differently too. Right now you have a top 3 offense. I think you guys might be either number 1 or number 2. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But we talk about complementary football and what it looks like. And this is it's going to look a little different because you guys are so efficient and explosive on offense. Your defense is naturally going to give up more yardage, right? So when you talk, that came to me while you were talking about rankings. You're like, man, if we can get to the 20, 21, 22, you guys are going to give up a lot of yards because of the style of play and the system that's implemented. But also because you're going to be up in a ton of games and you don't have to take risks, right?
Shooting hard to try to play catch up.
Correct. So,
trying to not give up the big stuff.
Right. So this is where the numbers can lie to you a little bit. So we got to be careful of completely dumping on your defense. And I'm not saying absolving them of the play versus the Giants and versus the Bears at all. But I think as you guys start to put together these wins, you guys are probably landing that 17 to 22-ish range. Not because you're a bad defense, just because of you guys playing a style that complements your offense to where you give up a little bit more yards and you're naturally going to give up some points through the field goals. You won't let guys in the end zone once it really gets rolling. However, I think the at the baseline of what Cowboys fans really need to look at is complete wins and being able to be successful in that way, right? Not just the guys around.
The Jets game was the first time I saw what you just talked about because that game was really 30-6.
Right.
That's really when both teams were both out there doing everything they could to try to win. The score was 30-6. Right. And then you got late into the third and into the fourth, and the Cowboys are like, okay, let's make sure we don't give up anything up top. And all of a sudden, the Jets are moving the ball and they're running it and they're getting some intermediate stuff. And so
empty stats.
And they're putting up the points. So once again, the defense had a chance to stone the Jets and leave them at 9 points, 12 or something like that. But the reality is what risk do you take by doing that if they can sneak something over the top and get a quick 6 and then all of a sudden they're back in the game? it's not worth it. And so you end up giving up 22 points when really, you really didn't really start surrendering points until the third and the fourth quarter. So that
game's out of reach. Yeah,
that's your equation. That'll work. That's fine, because the meat of the game, when the game was in the balance, you held them to 6. Right. And then after that is just, the gap is too large for you to sit there and be taking chances, sending zero coverage blitzes and
need the risk.
Leaving for what? What are you getting out of that? That's and so that was the first game where that system or that formula seemed to stay. And if I'll take that, I'll take that, and then we'll see if the offense can continue to roll. But I think even with that, so give me a final score.
Man, I think this is going to be a pretty one-sided game. I'm going 35 to 22. No, I'm sorry, 23. 35-23.
35-23.
Cowboys.
And I am I'm right there with you. I'm going to go 34-24.
Okay.
I think it's a 34-24, and that may not end up being what the score looks like when it comes down to, it's going to be what the final score look like, but I think it might not be as close to that. It might be a 31-14, 31-17 type situation. A few more points on the back end, kind of similar to what we were just talking about. But the Cowboys need this game. They really do. They that Bears game really set us back. So we're gonna have to make it up somehow. You know what I mean? You guys put us in a tough spot, no doubt about it. So, but I know y'all needed that win like we did. So it is what it is. So. Well, we're going to wrap this up and move forward here, because I feel like the premier matchup this week to me is the Chicago Bears coming in looking for some revenge pie against the Washington Commanders. As you know, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Commanders are in the same division, and because the Cry Eagles laid an egg and they're now on a 2-game losing streak, the division all of a sudden looks a lot more attainable. There's an opportunity there for both franchises to step up. There's a 20-year run of no one repeating in the NFC East as division champs. 20 years has never been consecutive. I know people think that the Eagles rule the roost or whatever. They've never been back-to-back divisional champs.
NFC East champs. Okay.
In the last 2 decades.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And so here the Eagles won it last year. The Cowboys won it 2 years ago. So the Cowboys want to get back. The Washington Commanders feel like they're the better team between everyone, so they're trying to get in and win it. So that is where the NFC East is going into this game. It makes it even a bigger game, because you can really close that gap if you're Washington. The Chicago Bears, coming off of a bye, are feeling really good on a 2-game heater and starting to cook a little bit on their offense. They're getting healthier on their defense. They have 2 strong offensive and defensive minds when you talk about Ben Johnson and you're talking about the DA, Dennis Allen. And so, the arrow was pointed up for this team, Chicago. And, last year was an inflection point when they went to Washington, kind of weathered the storm and came in and had a game that they pulled out, had a game won, was in control. Washington down to their last, running around. You had a couple of mistakes on defense where you didn't call timeout to set your defense. You allowed a big play to put the Washington Commanders in position, just playing very soft. And this is Eberflus, by the way.
Yeah.
And so, strange bedfellows once again. And so you get to that point, and here you are when the last play of the game, Daniels drops back and throws an absolute seed in the air. You also had a secondary player for Chicago who was taunting and ranting with the crowd.
Tyreek Steve.
Steven was doing that and doing so while the game was actually in flux. And what you end up was was with a Hail Mary touchdown to Brown, Noah Brown, and the Washington Commanders once again pull victory out of the jaws of defeat and continue on to a 11-12 win season, make it to the NFC Championship game. And that game had a huge effect on all of that because it put them in a playoff seeding where they lined up with Detroit instead of playing the Eagles, right? And so that game meant everything. And the Commanders went in the positive direction, and I think that was an inflection point where Chicago went in the opposite direction. So that's the backdrop of this Monday night game, where these two teams who've also been playing each other often in the last couple of years, they played each other multiple times. And that's probably because they both have kind of stayed in the same ranking. So the NFL will put you, if you're the third ranked team in your defense, in your division, then you'll play the third, ranked team in the division and so forth. And same thing here. So one of those things where it just kind of lined up and it's become a little bit of a rivalry. So, okay, going into that, talk to me.
Hey, that was a hell of a recap, man. And I coming out of our damn Cowboys Panthers talk, I was feeling good, and you immediately changed, man. You put me back in my dark place, man. So be proud of you. Pat yourself on the back for that damn recap, because that hearing it, seeing it.
Yeah,
I turned my TV off, man. I don't want to see that Hail Mary play.
It's a PTSD moment.
It's a PTSD moment. For me, I really, and I've stepped on you a little bit because I know where you're going. So I just wanted to get that out. And this is probably most Bears fans, what we're feeling is it's like opening up a wound, man. We had so much, again, that recap was basically the death of our season, and it led us to where we are now. We ended up getting Ben Johnson. We ended up, shifting gears at coach, at head coach, and put us on the path that we're on here today. So we needed that to happen for us to get here.
Yes.
But just kind of hearing it play itself out over again. Talk about a damn punch in the gut. I've had some bad losses with the Bears. I think the double doink Cody Parkey. Yeah. Excuse me. If I ever see him in person, then have my the third time you have bail money ready for me. But be ready to get me from wherever I am, because that loss hurts. That the Bears losing in '85 to the Dolphins, that one hurt. I was a young boy, and I remember how that one stung.
I saw that.
My God, I don't think I've ever been deflated with a regular season game as much as I have been deflated with that one, just because of the some implications, some things I'll get into here shortly. But yeah, great job recapping that and kind of putting me in that mode. So I'm ready to go talk about this. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. I just, once again, I mean, this is when you're a football guy, you watch these games. I remember being at the sports bar watching that game with a whole bunch of fans, and there was only a couple of Commanders fans in there. A few Chicago fans. I'm out here on the West Coast, and so there's not as many of them, in that particular setting. But man, that game was so thrilling. Everybody was locked in. So I remember specifically, and for me, there ain't a week that I'm really hoping for the Washington Commanders to win unless they can help the Cowboys somehow, some strange way. But typically, that's rarely the case. So I was definitely pulling for your guys to pull that out, and that one hurt. That one hurt me to watch, and it kind of kept that theme that the Washington Commanders are a charm team, that they are just everything is just kind of falling in place for them, and they had a magical run and stuff. And in the NFL though, we don't do magic, we don't do charm, we don't do runs. You know what I'm saying? We line the hell up and we play, and we make you earn it and stuff. And so you can pull that off for a little while, but at some point you come down to earth, and some teams are gonna be ready for you. So we want to see, are the Commanders a legit team, or are the Bears turning that corner? And that's what this game is about, and that's why it's a Monday night game. That's exactly why it's a primetime game. Two major markets, all of that in the bag of chips here. So let's look at the Commanders offense, the fighting Jaden Daniels versus Chicago's defense coming off of a bye. When I look at the Commanders' offense, you're talking about honestly, it's kind of a college-based offense. When you look at the way they run their schemes here, and it kind of fits with Jaden Daniels because the guy won a Heisman Trophy in college. There's a lot of read option. He's a very new age quarterback. He uses VR and analytics and stuff to study, and he plays games virtually in his mind and stuff. Before the pregame, he's shooting basketball. So that's the thing with these quarterbacks now. I guess they're trying to get their follow throughs and their wrist.
I hate it. He
shoots basketballs. And if I'm on defense, I'm literally foaming at the mouth. There's no way you're gonna come out here on this damn football field with a basketball and make this seem like this is just a sport where you just get to run around and shoot threes. No offense to basketball, because we both love it, but that's not what this is. This is football. You know what I'm saying? You wearing a knee brace, and there's a reason why, because it's a tough ass game, and you out here, like this is a sport, and you're just gonna be precision. That got to stop, okay? And so, but that's what he is, and he's good, So far be it from me to dispute it, because I don't like it, because he's a damn good quarterback, and so their offense is led by him. It's led by their kind of resurgent running game with Merritt, I think his name is.
Yeah, he calls Crosby Merritt. He calls himself Bill. I don't know how the hell you get, Bill from Jacory, but I will say this, and you hit the nail on the head. I for the last 2 weeks, I just dove deep into this offense and see, what's happening here. Why are they so successful? We know Kingsbury is a college guy, and he comes with a lot of what I call fanfare around his scheme, and mostly for the pass game, right? It was the Texas Tech kind of air raid, spread it all over the yard type stuff. And here they are with the number one ranked offense, man, from a rushing standpoint, where they're putting up 156 a game. And my Bears are giving up a damn 164 a game. So this is strength. When you talk about strength on weakness and styles make fights, that's the first thing I dove into to say, how can we at least, start to plug some of this up? And I got a few ways we're going to do it. One is health, right? So we on defense, we get a little bit healthier over this bye week. You get Booker, who's probably our best pass rusher. You talk about, being careful on special teams. He was got injured in preseason on special teams, but he actually led the NFL in sacks in preseason.
Wow.
Kid is super talented. Who knows how he comes back from this injury, right? He's a young kid, 22, so he probably heals like Wolverine is what I'm hoping. But, getting him back, we get our starting cornerback, Kyler Gordon. He's a huge piece in our run game, and he's also a huge piece in the pass game. So, again, he's been off pretty much for the last 6-7 weeks. So who knows what kind of football shape he's in as well. But, I think can't get much worse, right? So he should be able to add something there. And then you look at TJ Edwards. He tried to come back against Detroit. He pulled a hammy, strained a hamstring, going into the first week of the season, and never really recovered from it after that first game, and tried to fight back against Detroit in game 2, end up re-aggravating it. So we've been without him. So not an excuse, just the reality, what we've been dealing with and what Dennis Allen's been playing with. And then Grady Jarrett, one of our bigger acquisitions from Atlanta up front, he ends up injuring his knee, and he was down last week. And you put all those together, and I think you got a defense and Dennis Allen having to do a lot more with less. And you hit the nail on the head with the college style offense, right? They do a lot of formations. They do a lot of things. Formations. What do we say? They make a lot of the same look different. A lot of the different look the same. The big thing is counter. Watch that. They run a lot of counter. They run a lot of what I call pin and pull type actions. Yeah, pin and pull, where they get you out of condensed formations, where they make you line up and play them kind of, head up and square to keep the balance of your defense. And they try to outnumber you in the run game with blockers through that a lot of pull action and misdirection. So I was listening to Dennis Allen in his presser this week, and he basically said exactly what you said, which is, yeah, this is like playing an option team. I talk to, we talk to college coaches all the time on how to deal with this. And from that perspective, he basically said, hey, it's assignment football. Somebody's got the quarterback, somebody's got the running back, somebody's going to have to stay with the tight end in that running game. And if you get out of phase or you miss a fit, then that's what it looks like, right? And I think the Commanders have also done really well because Daniels is a threat to run the ball, right?
Yeah,
they don't run him a ton, but he's sharp with his reads and his pulls, and they're able to get even another blocker into the scheme.
And he's
running the ball.
He's decisive.
He's very
decisive. He decides to run.
Yeah, very decisive. So. Physicality, right? When we get there, when we get a chance to hit him, he's slippery. And I saw him at LSU, and I'll be honest, I didn't think he was going to be able to survive in the NFL just because of some of the hits I saw him take. Hasn't taken as many of those since he's gotten to the league, but he got that big ass knee brace on his knee for a reason. He also got his ribs, touched up last year.
Against Carolina.
He's a slight guy. So when we get our chances, when we get our shots, go ahead and shoot them. I'm not saying, be dirty, but hey, you're not going to get many chances to get your hands on them. So when you do, make them count.
This ain't basketball, man.
This ain't basketball. And I think from, which is also really weird. It's a weird stat, but they really pop off the field on first and second down. They're doing really well. On third down, he's actually took a down tick and starting to struggle a little bit. But they also, weirdly enough, they also have the shortest yards to gain on third down across the NFL. So normally when they're on third down, they're right around, I want to say 4 yards or so, which is, from as football guys, that opens up your playbook immensely. So we got to be able to get them in some situations where we get them behind the chains, get them in some longer third downs. But I do think health with 3 guys returning back to the defense. And this will be the first time our secondary will be whole, minus Jalen Johnson. I know Jalen's out, probably for the year.
Yeah.
But we get Bayard, Gordon, Brisker, all those guys together, I think actually match up a little bit better because Scary Terry looks like he might not be playing this week. And if he is, he's dealing with an injury.
He's been out a lot here,
Quad.
Yeah.
But he also, remember when we talk about holding out, right?
That's right.
And what's he got? Soft tissue. Sometimes the math, 1 + 1 = what? 2. You miss, 8 weeks or 7 weeks to count, and then you get a huge, your bank account damn near breaks when all that money drops in. And the first thing, everybody expects you to do is to throttle it up and be your normal self at a high level. You go out there and push it a little higher level. Yeah, you're right. Higher level. And what do? You go out there and, just like clockwork, muscle and body muscles and body's not in alignment, and he strains that quad. So I thought I saw him running around out there against the Chargers last week, still not right. So he hadn't practiced all week. And even if he does practice, I think it's one of those situations where as a receiver, it's hard to have ankle injuries, quad injuries, muscle pulls, hamstring pulls, and be your best self. So I'm really looking at Jaden Daniels having to lean towards Debo and probably those McCaffrey in the pass game, and as well as the tight ends. So, and
it seems like they have this sequence, run it with Krosky Merritt, get ahead of the chains, drop back. Daniels pulls it down and takes off. And then when you start to get a little bit fall asleep, then you send Debo on a crosser, and then you hit him. And it's just like a pattern. And it's like, dude, like, are you guys not seeing this? Like, what's going on here? Because the thing about Debo is he's like the ultimate kind of in-between guy that kind of bail you out, because he doesn't run great routes, but he's also great in the scramble type drills.
Right.
And so in these chaotic plays, you just send him on a crosser, and he's a physical guy, so he can bump and run with you and play physical with you and catching and traffic. But he also doesn't run great routes, and he ain't sharp on it, and you should be able to pick up on what he does, but no one seems to be able to do it. And it's like without Terry in the game, how can you fall asleep with Debo? Like I don't quite get that. But maybe there's something to it with the other guys, but it seems it works.
Yeah, I tell you, it's the style of play, right? Because with all that eye candy going on and motions, and they're using him in unique ways. They put him in the backfield a lot, and they'll motion him out. So it causes you, one, to either show your hand, right? Because if you're a man, you got your guy chasing across the formation or bouncing back, as he goes back outside. Yeah, but it causes you to, what I call, go more vanilla in the offense, because they're giving you a lot to look at, and that's how he gets lost. And unfortunately, I do think with us, our pass rush hasn't been the greatest, and again, our run defense hasn't been the greatest, and that's two of their strengths, I would say, on offense. But this is interesting too. I wanted to say this real quick. Now I'll toss it back to you. Rodriguez, their second string running back, is dinged up, right? So they got Bill, who's going to probably get a lion's share. They were trying to bring him on, slowly, since they traded away Brian Robinson and all of that. So you got Jaden with a huge ass knee brace on, and then you got Rodriguez, who might not play. So we might see Donovan Edwards, for those guys who love Michigan, or Chase Edmonds. You might see a new running back too back there. And to help with their running game. Yeah, they're feeling the injury bug a little bit on offense right now. So maybe that slows it down a tad. But the attention to the running game for us, I think, is going to be key to because that's really the key to the offense. Because when they got that run game open, they can manipulate the linebackers and create that space to where that crosser gets behind the linebackers, and you got a wide receiver chasing, and that's the strength of the offense. So I'm hoping that we're able to we're fine in man. I'll give us that. We're okay. That's what Dennis Allen. That's what we do well. We're gonna man you up, and we're gonna send some heat. Question is, can we get home? And make Jaden get rid of that ball. And if he gets rid of it, can he throw it accurately under duress?
That's really what the crux of the game is when you look at Washington's offense versus the Bears defense. And I do think a big key of winning this game is going to be, can you kind of keep them at bay. I think they are successful enough where they're going to move the ball and have some success and some points, but can you keep them at bay so that they don't have full control of the game? Because they also are capable of possessing the ball a long time and kind of keeping you on the field on defense, and keeping Caleb and the offense off the field. And this just seems like they just kind of dinking and dunking and running and scrambling. And I think the tough part about it is you can actually get them into third down and manageable third down and predictable type positions. But somehow, that's when, you get a Debo play on a crosser or something like that. And it's like, man, I don't know why that is happening so often with them. But, obviously they got a good scheme there. And King Cliff, if you want to call him that, is dialing it up. So, but a great recap there, great preview there of that lineup and that side of the ball. So now you have the Chicago Bears offense and the fighting Ben Johnsons going up against the master here, Dan Quinn. And
you know him well. You know Dan well.
We all know Dan well. Once again, strange bedfellows, man. You know what I'm saying? If this was the entertainment world, we just be talking about how these basketball chicks just keep going from one NBA guy to another, flip flopping around, and You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, they dating another one, because all of these teams are swapping these coaches and flipping them around and trying to reinvent the wheel with those coaches. And see, so Dan Quinn, he of Dallas Cowboy fame, is a defensive coordinator and you know, with a history there. Been to the Super Bowls. He's got a Super Bowl with Seattle. So here he is as the head coach of Washington, and he's matching wits with Ben Johnson. But we'll talk about the coaching matchup. But the bottom line is that the defense of the Washington Commanders seem to be opportunistic. They still seem to have the pieces that they want to have, that Dan Quinn particularly likes or has. He's been able to get some pass rush. You got this guy Frankie Louvu, who's a real hottie. You know what I mean? He's a kind of explosive guy. Kind of reminds me of he's like Leofau in that way. He's kind of real you know, high energy, high tempo. You know, plays at a very reckless kind of level. But he's a good player, man. You know, he's a good player. You have your defensive backfield, who you have your transition guy from New Orleans, who's out there.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, so you know, Lattimore is one of those guys who, you know, kind of started his career and was known as a strong DB and strong defensive back who can really shut a guy down. He's been injury plagued, but he's back there. So they got some names on their defensive side, but it seems to be they're more opportunistic. You know, last week against the Chargers, the Chargers driving down, getting ready to score a touchdown, and one of the defensive linemen just gets a paw up and gets a tip, and he tips it right to the Commanders' defensive back, right on the goal line, and flips that game. Yeah, and, you know, and Herbert saw it. It was a touchdown. I mean, the guy was open there.
For a second,
Keenan Allen was sitting in there, was ready to go, and that tip. And so once again, opportunistic, playing to their strengths and so forth, and you know, and kind of giving the ball back to their offense. So how do you break down what your offense needs to do to exploit this defense and not make them look as good as they've looked at times?
Yeah, to me, you know, Ben Johnson knows exactly how to attack this defense. Like he knows Quinn well. I think Quinn's been, you know, it's been pretty simplistic, and maybe because I don't know schematically he hasn't leaned as much cover 3, which is weird because that's what they were running in that, you know, Legion of Boom days, was a lot of cover 3 and, you know, coming up and real what I call just sticky match coverage and physical, you know, tackling in the run game. And what I think for me, what Ben Johnson sees is a lot of, you know, they actually run a lot of cover 2, which was weird. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. Our offense, when we looked at it, you do some, you know, coming off a bye, you do a kind of an autopsy on the first 4 games, and you do some self-scouting. And Ben Johnson's theme was, hey, you know, the run game is not where it needs to be offensively, so I need to clean that up. And he took full responsibility for it. Took a little bit of weight off the running backs, because our running backs haven't getting a lot of flack, but he's just saying, you know, the run game was definitely a work in progress, whether it was the offensive line that was out of sync, whether it be the tight ends missing blocks, and whether it be the running backs not hitting their landmarks and their keys to make it a success. It put us behind the sticks a lot because we couldn't, you know, and it turned us one-dimensional. And then you throw in the fact that we had tons of penalties, right? So a lot of long second downs, long third downs, long first downs. We recovered well because we still have a top, you know, offense. I think we top 10, 25 points a game. But, you know, when you look at holistically, what can we do against this Commanders defense? Hell, anything we want to, you know. We got Rome, we got DJ Moore. We don't have any excuses why we can't move this ball. Colston Loveland's back. We got Cole Kmet, who should be, you know, getting a little bit healthier. I think he was dinged up as well. And then we got Swifty and Manungai, who, as much as the Quinn defense, you know, looked good against the Chargers, they also looked abysmal against the damn Falcons. And they looked, you know, pedestrian against the Giants as well. So Offensively, up front, Payne, Kinlaw, Johnny Newton. I kind of circled Johnny Newton. He's been popping off the screen lately. We're doing some things different up front. So Braxton Jones, goodbye. I'm tired of seeing my left tackle. I don't know if he was putting on, what is that, roll bounce in Atlanta? He's spatting up skates or something, man. Every time I look back, my left tackle was in Caleb's chest. He just couldn't handle the bull rush, and Ben saw enough. So we're going to be rolling out Theo Benedict. Keep that name underneath, underneath your hat. Kids out of Canada, unrestricted free agent type, big, strong kid, but still learning the game. The risk as far as playing him is a lot smaller than I think with Braxton, because he just can't hold up in the run game, and he wasn't holding up well in the pass game. So I think we'll be a lot more physical at the point on our left side of the line. If you look at the metrics, we have more success running the ball behind Darnell Wright, who's also returning this week at right tackle. So we got a lot healthier in the bye week. And I think with that addition of Theo Benedict going in and Braxton Jones coming out, we should be able to at least, get a little bit better balance running the football. Caleb, this is a big game for me, because you talked about it around the layers in this game. So I'm gonna touch on the layers real quick. If you got any juice, any competitor in you, Caleb, this 1-2, right? Jaden Daniels was the second, guy chosen. And after that game, I thought it was unwarranted, and I thought it was unfair, because again, the glory and the shine of Caleb leading us back and winning that game, I thought was going to catapult, his season last year. Yeah. And I'll be damned if it didn't go the other way, man. The magic and the mojo, went to Jaden Daniels, and I love the kid. So first of all, I don't want to mistake that. I think he's awesome. I think he's one of the premier and one of the best quarterbacks in the league. However, I think, from my perspective, Caleb Williams is in his class, or if not better. So I'm riding with 18. I think he's coming back home. He's coming back home to Maryland. He's also he's from there, so he's gonna have a lot of eyes and family in the building. Yeah. Caleb, what you don't know about him, he's got a lot of damn juice and a lot of fight in him too. And as much as they talk about painting his nails and all this, other, which I hate, around his sexuality and what kind of, a diva he is and all of these things. I know when I was in Vegas, I know what I couldn't see when he was throwing strikes all over the damn field, what color his damn nails were. Couldn't tell. Now the fan told me what color his nails were. But from a offensive standpoint, we should be able to run the ball. They aren't great against the run. They aren't great against the pass. They play hard. They're well coached, but they haven't been anywhere near what I call a high-functioning defensive unit. We got 2 weeks to prepare for them. I expect us to run the ball a little bit better. I think we will block the up front a little bit better. And I expect our our wide receivers to attack that secondary and be able to have to make plays on the outside to have success against them.
Sounds great, man. And I certainly echo where you have all of your tools. You're just starting to unleash your rookie wide receiver.
The burden.
You know what I'm saying? So, Luther is a third or fourth option right now in this offense, but you're talking about an explosive player who can really make some waves, and he's an afterthought. Like these things should probably be ironed out coming off of the bye, and you should be able to really exploit some things with Washington and take advantage. So I'm really looking to see if you can do so, because you have everything in place to be able to do so. Like you said, your left tackle can't be getting walked back and kind of spoiling and blowing up the play before it even gets started. Yeah. And so if you can hold your own when it comes to the pass pro, you got all types of nice little options to choose from when it comes to getting the ball out.
And that's a great point. Coast and Loveland, right? You can't go top 10 and not have an impact. And he got injured, so I'm not down on on Colston at all. I think when he's played, he's been amazing. He's been a huge factor. So he'll be back. But we're starting to hear those whispers around Tyler Warren and Colston.
Hey,
look, he's popping in Indy.
My man Tyler from VA.
Yeah.
Look.
Yes.
Colston, yes. I hate to say this, bro, but you got to you have to hold your own, bro, because this guy Tyler Warren looks exactly like people thought thought that he was going to look. Man, he is an absolute dude, and so
Ben, I think Ben went in. Yeah, Ben did the self scouting and exactly like, and I was reading, and we talked about DJ. I'm a DJ Extra, so I'm gonna be respectful this week. So DJ Extra is averaging about 40 yards a game, 4 receptions, 40 yards a game, which isn't anywhere near his normal distribution of what he's been seeing, historically over the past couple of seasons, and it's a natural, this is a predatory business, man, when it comes to NFL, right? And you start drafting Colston Lovelands and Luther Burdens and Rome Odunze's. It's only one football, right? And I think, with Ben going into the off week, he's in that bye week, he's looking at it, he's saying 2 guys I had to pick up the production is Colston and Luther Burden. So I would keep an eye out. Definitely, that's a great call by you. I would keep an eye out for those 2 guys, because if you're looking at where they were drafted versus their production, it's nowhere near. Their opportunities haven't been anywhere near where they should be.
Yeah, then I was kind of looking at that. I was like, because honestly, that kind of is like the fulcrum point. Like, you're kind of giving more and Rome Odunze, they're kind of like your givens. You're going to get a certain amount of touches to Swift, so there's kind of like your constants there.
Holy Trinity, yeah.
And so where your variables when it comes down to where the differences can be made, and it has to be with your rookies, Burden and Colston, right? Because that's where your differences can be made, and 2 explosive players, and there's obviously they have rookies and stuff like that, so they have some growing pains. But you're also not asking them to lead the offense. They're not doing like Tedero McMillan over in Carolina. Tedero is the guy already. Luther, you're not the guy. You're the 3rd guy, the 4th guy. So all you have to do is make 2 or 3 splashes a game, and that can change this game. So same thing with Colston. So I'm looking to see if those plays can be made from those guys to do so and change the way this game is
and you will, and then I'll say this, and then I know we'll move on. But Olamide Zaccheaus, he's also a Redskin last year. Well, commander. Sorry, old habits die hard. He was a commander, last year. Now he's with us, and he's actually been our best 3rd down receiver as far as moving the chains. So I'm sure he got a little bit of, you guys gave up on me and you didn't want to pay me what I was worth, because he actually contributed heavily to their offense last year as a tertiary kind of fourth option receiver. So you're right. It's time for some of these other guys to really start to make some plays. And if we cut down on the penalties and we shore up just the minimal mistakes in the blocking game, I think we'll be in good shape offensively against the Commanders.
Dan Quinn, Ben Johnson. The coaching matchups are heavy here, man. How do you like your ability to call your plays versus the Quinn defense? We talked about this a little bit, so we don't have to go too deep into it. But some coaches here who, their schemes are going to be questioned. Their play selections is going to be, under a microscope here, because it can certainly change the game here. But I like you got some names when it comes to the coaches here. So there's a lot of opportunity here to make a difference. Maybe it's a push. I don't know. But when you see the coaches there, any advantages, disadvantages? I know. I'm
gonna call it audible. And like I said, we kind of touched on the offense, like where I think the advantages are. I'm gonna get into the psyche, and Last year, Ben Johnson, obviously the hottest coaching name on the market at the time. You know, the Detroit Lions walk into a home game and the Commanders end up beating them. And there was a lot of, noise around. Did he get a little too cute? Was the game plan where it needed to be? Golf through some interceptions, and they still look great. Don't get me wrong. They put up points. They shot themselves in the foot a little bit in that playoff matchup. But I say all that to say, Ben Johnson is a competitor, and he's pissed off with how that last matchup went. He's heard the noise around the success of Detroit and how they've looked the past 3 weeks, and maybe it ain't Ben, right? Maybe it's these, the Jimmys and the Joes. So the competitor in Ben Johnson, I think, having a chance to kind of have a week I don't think he decompresses. Guys like that never truly decompress. I think he went in the lab and like a mad scientist, and I expect some wrinkles. I expect some things that's really going to exploit what that Dan Quinn defense likes to do. Dan Quinn has some tells, and I guarantee that Ben Johnson has found, 2 or 3 that he's going to exploit and come after. The reality, we calling this the revenge game, and they asked him about it. He immediately played it down, said, "Hey, we're a new team. That don't mean anything. I ain't crazy. You ain't crazy." When those doors closed and that down, and all 53 of those guys and the coaches in the locker room, and he went to talking, he said, "You know what, guys? Sometimes you don't get a second chance to right or wrong, right? Yeah. And especially in NFL, you lose a certain way, you might not see that team for another 3-4 years. Sometimes you might not see them for 2 seasons, and
it changes.
Just to change. This ain't the NBA where you kind of run into each other quite a bit, you get a lot of opportunities. But Tyreek Stevenson, you got a legacy game. What you gonna do, right? You let us down last year. What you gonna give me? Caleb, you coming home, and they saying Jaden Daniels is not only is he better than you, they're saying that you shouldn't have even been the first pick of the draft.
Right.
The Bears didn't even do their due diligence, and this is true. We never brought Jaden Daniels in the building. Right. So the Bears made a mistake by trusting you. What you gonna do to prove us right? Right.
Yeah.
You got some
to back them up.
You need to back us up, and it ain't putting pressure on these guys. Ben is just being very upfront. Offense, hey, these guys are bullies. If they get up on you, and the fighting Dan Quinns, and you know it because you see them twice a year. If you let these guys and show weakness, and you let them start to lean on you, they ain't gonna take their foot off your neck. They're gonna continue to choke you, and they're gonna beat you down, and they're gonna embarrass you on Monday night. And the last time we were on prime time Monday Night Football, what did we do? We gave up 21 down points in the fourth quarter, and our offense looked like trash, and we lose a game that we should have won. And that's the impression that we've given the world, that the Bears are losers, and the Bears, when we need it, we can't get it done. So what are you guys gonna do to fix it? Right? And I think that's the competitor in Ben is challenging everybody to say, beating the Raiders is great, but that's the Raiders. They ain't on the upswing. You go out there and you knock the Commanders out the same way the Patriots went in there and knocked the Bills down. What are you going to do? When are you guys going to have a statement game, right? So I think the energy in that building, and we just talking as men, there's a lot of wrongs that need to get righted. And what y'all going to do about it? I see all the interviews. I see the off-season workouts. I see all I can't wait to play. Well, we're going to be 8-15. You're going to have all the Commanders you want. So let's see what you're going to do with it. This is your opportunity to change some narratives, to flip the switch on this organization, and start putting us in the conversations as being I'm not saying a Super Bowl contender, but a team that needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And I think that you've covered and hit some of the major things there for sure. That with the storylines of this game, I'm hoping that they see what we see. You know what I'm saying? I hope that they see it the same way, and talk about the fact that Washington came in there and beat you up a little bit when you were in Detroit and got after you, even though you scored points. But as a team, you kind of got out physical in that game. And Dan Quinn defense got an interception on Jared Goff and almost
took his head off.
Almost took him to meet his maker on that return. You know what I'm saying? I honestly, I think Goff was playing with
concussion.
The rest of that game. I don't even think he was so they really just kind of physically got after Detroit. And obviously we're not talking about Detroit, we're talking about Ben Johnson and his team, and now he's in Chicago. So Ben has it on two sides. He has it from the Detroit perspective when he was the coordinator, but he also has to wear the Chicago game from last year where the game was blown, because a lot of those players are on this team, and he needs to marry those two things together. Where the Commanders did some damage to two different franchises, and most of you guys were around for it. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out. I'm certainly excited about this one for sure. If the Commanders win this game, it's going to be because the Chicago Bears do not learn the lessons that they've seen from the beginning part of the season with how the Commanders run their offense. Right. They're not able to control the running game, and they allow the off-script plays of Daniels to Debo and so forth continue to keep Washington on schedule. Washington is a team that needs to be on schedule. I don't see them as an explosive team, going up top, not without Terry. Okay. So they're not an explosive team that just, you kind of, go bombs away or anything like that. They put together these drives and they get what they get on first and second down. But what happens is when the play breaks down and Jaden Daniels is scrambling, he gets off script, and then boom, another first down. Boom, another first down. You have got to stop that if you want to get off the field. And if you can just do that enough times, I feel like Chicago is their offense is going to be strong. But if the Commanders are able to continue to do that, if they are able to get Caleb off script and get him into making some mistakes, then I think that's where the Commanders will take advantage. That's exactly what they did to the Chargers last week. They continue to get Herbert into situations where he made mistakes and they made bad decisions, and they took advantage of it. And so that's kind of what Dan Quinn's defense does, is to thrive off of turnovers and stuff like that. And you can't fall for the cheese. You cannot fall for that if you're Chicago. But I'm telling you, the Commanders will win the game if they're able to do that and stay exactly on schedule with that. So it's going to be on Chicago to stop that. What do you see for Chicago if they win the game? What does that look like for you?
I think for me, I think we win the game. One, we got to keep our emotions in check, right? That's going to be big. You're walking into like I said, a big primetime game, and you're walking. It might not seem like it, but this game has playoff implications, right? We already got 2 divisional losses to Minnesota, and then also to Detroit. So we can't get too far behind this 8 ball. So I think that's one of the things, and you do a great job of the mathematics and the metrics behind, how do you get in the playoffs? Going 0-3 in the conference is not a great equation to be in a playoff team. So that's kind of the underlying piece of keeping our emotions in check and kind of understanding, even though this is a high stakes game. Yeah, that's also layered in emotion from last season's game. You saw me I'm getting fired up just talking about it. I can only imagine them, getting ready to play. So Ben not only has to get these guys motivated and ready to play and fired up, but he also has to have them what I call control, violence, and rage. And I've been big on Caleb, and I think this is one where again, this is a Caleb Williams showcase game where he comes out and the mistakes that we've had cleaning up, not being completely clean with the pre-snap penalties, whether it be, getting in and out of the huddle, whether it be his pre-snap reads, post-snap reads. He's going to have to outplay Jaden Daniels. And that's the elephant in the room that I'm going to address, and I'm not going to duck it. In order to beat the Commanders, you got to outplay Jaden Daniels. If it's a push, their roster is a little bit stronger, a little bit better. I think they've been a little bit more cohesive and successful the past 2 years. So in order for us to get this thing, going Chicago's way, I think Caleb Williams, I know he has to play a hell of a football game, and he has to best Jaden Daniels as far as putting us in positions, not a one-on-one matchup, but just an offensive, your team. We got to put points on the board. It's not a game where we can kick a ton of field goals and have, empty possessions, because we're not going to get tons of possessions with this style of play that the Commanders like to lean into. So we win if Caleb, plays like I think he will play. And that's a very high level of efficiency and allowing us to put that ball in the end zone.
What's your final score?
Final score, I'm going 31 to 28 Bears. I think it's going to be a lot of points put up. I think it'll be kind of a possession game. I got us kicking a field goal to win it. 31-28 Bears.
31-28 Bears. I am also looking at this as a field goal game. I am looking at it as 27-24 Bears. So I'm giving you guys the final kick there as an opportunity to do so. And it may not be a final kick. It may be your defense having to keep Washington away from getting into field goal range and getting a stop and stuff. So I think it would be very fitting after last year to hold them out versus kind of going in there and getting the field goal and not letting them get that final kickoff this time and winning it. So this is going to be an epic match, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. I certainly want to see this one. I have my popcorn ready for this one for sure.
Hey,
and
really get your popcorn ready. And I told you I was doing my yard work this morning, right? I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm excited. I was doing my yard to all my dads out there, to all my guys out there.
Yeah.
It's fall is upon us. It's starting to get a little nip in the air, so I was out there doing my seeding, getting my grass right. Yeah, favorite time of year, and I was out there, just going through the earth, and I said, man, thinking about the game, I thought about old Coach Charlie Weatherby, and I thought about my emotions, and I'm big on the props. We got to kill a mosquito with an axe. You see the dirt on it? I'm not joking. Hey, we got to come out there. And you say we got 53 axes. I'm sending them to you, Ben. I'm sending these axes to you. I got 53 of these things. Hand them out. Any mosquito, anything moving, we killing it. We stepping on their necks. We gotta have it. I'm all the way invested. Vegas, I came with the dice. This week, I got my axe. Let's kill him with a mosquito with an axe, man. Let's go.
In the words of Charlie Weatherby. Let's go, man, on 3-on-3
NAVY chopping wood. So that's my prop. Kill a mosquito with an axe. So if I come back Monday night, this thing should be nubbed all the way down, man. All this gonna be all worn off. Anything moving, man. I hope I don't get us disbanded from this damn video with these props and stuff. But
I think we'll be all right. I'll make sure when we send it out, I say this video is not for kids.
Nah, this is not for kids, man. This is all grown man business here. So, all right.
This is awesome, man. It's been great to preview this game. We're gonna wrap this up. I'm so excited to see this one, bro. I'm excited that you're in the DMV area, so you should be able to really see all of the fans around there. Maybe you want to go to a sports bar, watch this thing. But
I actually got an invite. So this is another crazy story. So last year I invited my son's best friend and his family over for the game, and we watched it together. So they saw me collapse on the ground. They saw a grown man collapse in his own room and lose in that fashion. And shout out to them. I saw him this weekend. Their son Matt had a birthday, and anyway, they invited me to come, watch the game at their house. So I'm superstitious though. I want to, so part of me like, man, do I get up out of the room where the bad juju was, or do I let that overtake me? So I'm still figuring out, do I want to go watch this one in public? Do I want to watch it in private? All I know, I got to contain myself, man, because I'm on edge. Everybody's walking around eggshells around the house.
Make sure you take your game notes now.
Hey, I don't know, man. The whole house been on eggshells. Nobody talking to me. Everybody doing the right thing in the Spencer household this weekend, man.
You got a no-hitter going on.
hey, tissues in the right places, man. Towels folded correctly. Clothes ironed, man. There's nothing, no stone unturned in the Spencer household, man. So attention to detail, kill a mosquito with X mentality. I got to find a place to watch this thing. Bring your popcorn. We're going to do you guys a solid. We're going to get you guys, and the Giants are creeping up. The Eagles are slipping back. Yeah. What better gift that I could give to you and popping the Commanders, man, to get you guys right back in this thing in the NFC.
You took a W from us. Please help us get one back. That's it, right, bro. So, all right, man. So this we'll be watching everyone out here. Thanks again for taking some time here to join us here. We'll have this out on all platforms and have the opportunity to take some and give us some comments here. Certainly appreciate everyone. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you like this content, as we will be continuing to add more and more content as we cover the NFL, the NBA. Be on the lookout here for an NBA preview. We're going to talk about our Los Angeles Lakers and the beginning of the year with LeBron out and stuff like that. So we're gonna
Sciatica. I'm worried about that, man. I'm not the injury. I'm worried about the something's off with the with the Lakers and this whole how we starting this season out. I don't know if Bron is leaving or he's moving or he's going somewhere, but it feels something's looming there, and it just doesn't feel right.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see, certainly, and we'll certainly cover that, and we'll be doing a preview of that coming up as they get ready for their first game. So, and kind of feeling that out. So, for Harry, this is Mo, and we are the H&M Sports Academy.
Oh yeah.
We are out, and you guys have an excellent weekend. We'll be in touch with you soon, and we'll be pre-capping and giving a post game here on these two games starting next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right.